Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inspired with Christopher Williams. I am your host, Christopher Williams, navigator and motivator with you on the path to accomplishing your goals and achieving your dreams. Of course, we want to thank everybody for tuning into the show. You know, that's something we always got to do. We appreciate everybody's thoughts. We appreciate everybody's kind words, encouragement, letting us know that you're enjoying the content as we continue to move forward, in not only your goals but our goals. You know, providing you with great content for you to take with you, and also share with those who might not know anything about the show, but just share with those who may be depending on you for information. You know, iron sharpens iron, so you may be somebody else's resource. So thank you, and thank you for everybody who's just learning about the show. You know, we thought about the idea of the show, and we wanted to provide somebody, everybody for that matter, with things that they can truly use, not only in their professional life, but also in their personal life. You know, some things you can actually take and use all the way around. So thank you guys. Thank you. Always reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns, or even if you just want to chat about any kind of business related or leadership related topics. Facebook.com/Williams Inc., OneWilliamsEnterprises.com, and Christopher at OneWilliamsEnterprises.com. And don't forget about the Instagram page now, Williams_Enterprises. I'm there as well. So reach out to me, anything you have questions about, concerns about, something about maybe what you saw on the last show, or something that you want to hear on the show yourself. You know, we're always looking for your input, always looking to do something new and innovative with each and every one of you. Speaking of innovative and speaking of reaching out about what you want to see on the show, we're going to go ahead and continue with our Viewer's Choice series here. So we look at, you know, the things that you guys tell us. We look at the things that you guys want to hear, want to see. And we take that information, and just like the last couple episodes, we make them our subject matter for these episodes. So we're going to continue with that, actually. Today's episode is going to be cool because someone actually reached out and kind of gave me a compliment. So I was kind of happy about that. They were like, "How do you spit off so much information?" You know, and I was like, "What do you mean?" They were like, "Well, so much information you give, and it's just you just spit it off. Like, it reminds me of giving a speech. I couldn't do that, you know. So I just wonder how you're able to do so much and so fast." So without further ado, we're gonna tackle that. You know, it's gonna give you a little bit of insight of me as a person. And it's going to give you some tips that you may be able to take with you in any kind of speeches you have to give, whether that be in school or professionally. So we're going to talk about the art of public speaking today. We're going to keep it very simple, very plain. You know, the show, we typically like to keep everything very clear, cut, and dry. It's not someplace you come and get a whole bunch of, you know, confusion or anything like that. But plain, we're going to lay it out to you. And that way you can kind of get as much as you need to get out of it, and you can take it with you. So when you typically think about public speaking, I know a lot of people say it's like pulling teeth. You know, there are people that actually have a fear of public speaking. Some people told me they get sweaty and they just freak out. And I think that happens to every professional speaker probably at the very beginning of their career. You know, it's different. You want to make sure that, you know, you're staying calm about yourself, and it's really not that that nerve-wracking if you really learn a few things. So I'm going to give you some points to take with you. We're going to truly identify some of those things that you may be feeling that you didn't know you were feeling. And we're going to tell you how to push through that and tell you how to not only make a great speech, because that's the true immediate goal, right, is to make a great speech. But, hey, you may like it, and then you may want to make it into a career. So that's what we're going to do today as well. So when we think about public speaking and you think about, man, I got all this, you know, I got to get up here in front of all these people, got to give this speech, I got to do all this stuff. You're like, why do I have to do this, right? So you sometimes think, well, why make a speech, right? So you think, okay, well, you know, why am I going to make this speech? Why can't I just send an email? Why can't I just, hey, maybe send a letter out to people, right? But the idea of a speech is very simple. You know, you have either a need or a desire to get information out to a big number of people, you know, whether that be in person or whether that be virtual. You know, technology plays a huge part in what we do in society today. So some speeches take place online, which is a little bit easier for some people because they don't have to actually physically see the person. But when you think about it in this matter, you know, you really think about, okay, I'm getting this information to this large group of people. But at the same time, you're like, well, all these people are going to be looking at me. You know, I'm going to be up here on the stage. They're going to be truly looking at me, trying to figure out, if I'm lying or if I'm telling the truth. But it's really not that difficult, really. Everybody truly is listening to you because they want to hear what you have to say, right? So you got to keep that in mind. But what we're going to do is we're going to identify the best ways, to communicate your speech. We're going to truly talk about the opportunities that come through speaking. And we're going to give you some rules to live by as well when you're giving your speeches. So take care, grab your pen, your handy dandy notebook. We're going to truly do some great work with you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So why a speech? Well, we're going to give you 2 quick points of why giving a speech is actually very beneficial. A, it's an effective form of communication. And B, it provides you an opportunity to connect with your audience. So when I mention an effective form of communication, remember a couple episodes we identified communication as being all about the other person. So with that said, you have to remember, not everybody has time to always check emails. People's emails get bombarded with junk mail, snail mail. So you really never know who's really getting the information that you're giving out. So a speech is an effective form of communication because you have everybody's attention, and you have everybody's attention for normally it's a very specific amount of time. So once that time is over, the message has typically already been given. So now that person can do either what they should do or what they feel they want to do with the information. So it's a very effective form of communication. And it offers you an opportunity to connect. Now, when I say connect, it's not necessarily meaning, a dialogue or a back and forth conversation, but you give the audience an opportunity to connect with you, whether that's in a very professional perspective or whether that's a very personal perspective. You have to realize a lot of times when you're giving speeches, it's all about very plain information, right? Especially when you're giving a presentation or you're giving a proposal or you're kind of setting some new rules for a department or a group of people to follow. A lot of the information you don't have any control to kind of make your own edits as you go. You have to remember that some of that information is very plain. So when you're giving it, you really have to make sure that when you're using that time that's been allotted to you, that A, you're making sure that your audience truly understands where you're coming from. That's where you really use, I guess, in a way, kind of what your setting is, whether that's a business setting or professional setting, or it's a very relaxed, very casual setting. If it's a very professional setting, everybody's going to already be giving you their attention, at least for the first minute, right? Some people's attention when it comes to dry information really kind of, you got 30 seconds. That's why commercials are so short, because everybody's attention is always going. But you have to remember that you have their attention for a specific amount of time. So your speech, especially in that very business professional setting, is going to typically be very standard, very plain. So you want to make sure that as you're giving that kind of information, that you're kind of making sure that everybody's on the same page or understanding where you're coming from. You don't always have the opportunity, like I said before, to engage anybody in active conversation or active dialogue, kind of a back and forth. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that as you're giving your speech, you're making sure that everybody understands you. You're making sure that you have everybody's attention, and that you make sure that everybody's on the same page or kind of at least following along with you. Sometimes that can be, by taking notes, like you guys do on the show. Or sometimes that can be just kind of how their body language is. If you see everybody kind of leaning towards you, that typically means they're understanding or they're truly connecting with you on that level. But if they're typically fidgeting in their chairs or they're typically kind of slouched back, or you notice that nobody's really kind of seeming like they're really paying you much attention, then you obviously know that you're losing your audience. So just make sure that you're keeping that in mind. When it's very casual, when it's very laid back, you have that opportunity to kind of, present the information, but also kind of present an opportunity to make sure that everybody's understanding what you're saying. So it could be something where you ask a couple rhetorical questions. It could be something where you take a couple pauses, to make sure that everybody has time to breathe, right? When you're giving a lot of information, you have to remember your audience also needs time to breathe, right? Like you sometimes need time to pause and, go to the next topic, your audience needs time to breathe as well. So just give them that opportunity to truly take what you have in. Take maybe 5, 10 seconds sometimes in between segments, and just kind of pan the room. Make sure everybody is kind of still with you, so to speak. Another thing, why a speech, right? Well, speeches typically do three main things. They establish order, or they give orders. They also have a purpose, and they also have a lot of meaning. So whether you're putting together your own presentation, or whether you're just presenting information that people already know, or people that need to be updated on, you have to keep these three things in mind. The order is very important. Typically, when you're giving information, you want to make sure that the order typically is an order of importance, right? Some things you really want people to understand. So those things are typically things you're going to truly make the very opening part of your speech. Typically, like I said before, people's attention span typically wanders as you go along. So the things that you really want them to get, you want to make sure that you really emphasize in the very beginning of your speech. Other things that may support that main topic can come after that, right? Because as long as they got the main thing, they'll have an opportunity to kind of give you feedback or get feedback from you. Typically, that's something that follows the speech. Either after you're done, people come up to you and ask you questions or want to talk about things, or you provide them that opportunity, via social media, or just like I give you guys opportunity to give me feedback, or just time where you can set aside for that individual person, depending on how many people are hearing your speech. But the idea is that the longer the speech, you want to make sure that the more important things are emphasized. And the main way you can emphasize that is to make sure that those things are presented in a very timely fashion. Now, the purpose of the speech is typically going to go hand in hand with your theme. So you may be talking about, ways to be more effective in the office, for example. So that's going to be the purpose of the entire speech. You don't have to kind of cram all that into one, idea that you're given in the very beginning, because that's going to be your entire theme. So as long as you stay on point and on topic, then the purpose that you have is going to be able to be, very obvious to identify by your audience. The meaning is very unique because sometimes you can say things, or sometimes things in your environment have double meanings. It may not be because you intend for it that way. It may just be the way your environment's set up, or the purpose that you're giving your speech. The subject matter could have double meanings. So you want to make sure that you're clear, cut, and concise with the information that you're giving out. Now, you also have different types of speeches. Now, of course, depending on what your subject matter is, or if you're using this as public speaking as the actual topic of study, then you're going to get different definitions and different subject matter. But like I said, we like to keep things pretty simple on the show, so I've just typically gave you the main two that you're going to hear the most often. The first one is an informative type of speech, right? A lot of times you'll find these in in proposals. You'll find these type of speeches coming from a management perspective. A lot of times these are the things that you see in emails that come out in your office, or that you see in maybe short huddles that you have on your team. Just ways to kind of inform you of either changes or either information that you should know that may directly or indirectly affect your job or your career, or just anything that's going on where you are. So the informative type, typically, like I was saying before, is typically very very standard information. And when I say standard, I mean there's really no room for you to kind of add your spin on it. If this was your own personal speech, then yeah, you could be able to do different things with it. Maybe make it funny, make it make it loud, whatever you wanted to do. But an informative speech is pretty much a way to get across information. Typically, in these, you have the freedom to kind of be in that still motion. You're very stationary. The information that you're giving out is very clear cut and dry, so you don't have to worry about maybe missing anything or leaving anything out. Because with these type of speeches, you typically have a format already either pre-laid for you, or you've already made this information readily available to the other people So if something's not on it, there's another way of getting it, or it's typically very easily accessible to not only you but to your audience. So informatives are a lot easier speeches to give because there's really not as much room for error because everybody's on the same page already, right? The information that you're giving out is typically going to be information that they've already seen or already know about. You're just either providing an update or you're just letting them know of a slight change that may come to something that they already know. Now, persuasive speech is very different. Persuasive speeches, you typically have to identify with emotions. Just to be completely honest with you, you got to think of a salesman. Old school door-to-door salesman. They try to research the area they're going in, research the people that they're going to talk to, and that's very important to in a persuasive speech because you have to know your audience. You have to know exactly who you're talking to. You have to know why they're even listening to you in the first place. Without those two things, you're really not going to be too persuasive with your speech. But it's still very simple, okay? Don't get caught up in, a lot of the step-by-step because when you actually give the speech, a lot of this is just going to start flying by. As long as you truly make your point plain, just like you do with an informative speech, only thing you're really doing differently in a persuasive speech is you're giving your reasoning why either you're giving the information you're giving or why that person should invest, whether that be emotional, whether that be monetary, or whether that be their time or their talent in what you have to say. So, like I said, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not a lot. But if you do have any questions, definitely reach out to me. I'm definitely here for you whenever you need any help. Facebook.com/Williams Inc., OneWilliamsEnterprises.com, Christopher at OneWilliamsEnterprises.com, and also on Instagram, Williams_Enterprises. Just let me know if you have any questions or concerns about anything that we're going over. And I'd be definitely happy to maybe, expand on the topic for you. And, hey, if you have some feedback that you say, hey, this worked for me or this didn't work for me, just let me know. Hey, you never know. You may have learned something new that we can share with other people. That's really what we're all about on this show is sharing stuff together, Iron sharpens iron, I love to say that. So just let me know what you think. But just wrapping everything up, with a persuasive speech, you always want to make sure that not only you're connecting, but you're also having that emotional buy-in, not only from, who's listening to you, but you want to make sure that your audience can feel that from you as well. After all, they're investing in you. You're not necessarily investing anything directly into them other than the information. So the more they can connect with you, the better off you're going to be of getting your point across and winning your audience over. You have to remember, it's a persuasive speech. So you're trying to persuade them to see things the way you see them or the way the group that you're representing sees things. So keep those things in mind, and I promise you it won't be as hard as you think. I promise you'll do a great job, and I promise you, hey, you're going to at least get some type of feedback from your audience. I think at the end of the day, especially a lot of the speeches that I've given, I always saw it as a victory if I got feedback from somebody, whether that's an additional question or whether that's if they wanted clarification on something I said. Because guess what? Even though they may not either buy something right then or you may not feel that they're going to invest anything in you right then, guess what? You've opened the door for additional conversation. And now you've opened the opportunity for yourself to get that extra buy-in, right? You've opened in that door, you're getting multiple opportunities to get that person and also to get that person's mindset. So that's what you're really trying to accomplish.
10 years to learn the business. 10 years to make a name. 1 year on your own. It takes time to build a small business, but only 60 days to transform it with email marketing from Constant Contact. Sign up with Constant Contact and get 60 days of free email marketing to generate referrals, connect with clients, and build the business you've always wanted. Constant Contact. Start your 60-day free trial today.
Welcome back to Inspired with Christopher Williams. I want to take this time to thank our sponsors for helping make the show possible. We're able to provide you guys with such great content that we truly couldn't do this without our sponsors helping us to not only bring you great content today, but bring you content that you have the ability to stream and see tomorrow, the next day, pretty much anytime you want. So thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to anybody who's considering sponsoring the show as well. We greatly appreciate your consideration. Today's point of power is going to be very, very unique, and I'm going to talk about it in detail a little bit more than I normally do, because it was something that I caught and that resonated with me throughout my work week. So I was talking with one of my potential customers. She reached out to me, and she mentioned to me what she wanted to do. And I was very amped, as I'm always amped with anybody who wants to work with me about anything, about helping her. And she was talking and going through all these goals that she wants to accomplish, and I'm just listening and making mental notes as well as physical notes. And I caught her in what she was saying, and I stopped her and I told her, I was like, well, it sounds like, you're already where you keep saying you want to be, And then, as we kept talking and she kept repeating the same thing, and I had to keep stopping her. And eventually she got it, right? She was like, you're right. Okay, I got it. So the reason I bring that for today's points of power is the idea is this, is that sometimes we truly can't see for trying to look. So the idea is that, you're so busy trying to make things work and find something and find your way through something that you really sometimes forget that what you're trying to find is something that you may already have. It's just you're too busy trying to find it. And it sounds comical, but it's true, especially with entrepreneurs, especially with anybody who's involved in leadership. You think about people doing nonprofits. You think about people organizing committees and teams to do things. And you're looking for all these, all these factors, all these, features to have either on your team or in your product as an entrepreneur that you're trying to offer. But you forget to see the big picture, and you forget to see what you already have around you. You have to already understand that some of the things that you say you need, you may already have. And some of the things that you already have, maybe some of the things that are going to help you go to the next level. So as you're putting your plans together, as you're putting your goals together, it's great to be ambitious. It's great to truly strive for better and the next level and the next thing and whatever else you want to strive for. But just remember, you have to take steps in anything that you do. And if you skip a step, that may be the step that you're truly trying to find. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because, hey, it's good. It's just like finding $20 when you need $20. Hey, I got $20 in my pocket. I don't need it no more. But you have to remember that each step comes with lessons that need to be learned for you to go to the next level. So if you're so busy trying to find what that next level is, and you forget about the level that you're currently on, you're going to miss out on something that's truly going to help educate and motivate and propel you further than you probably even thought you would be at this point, either in your career or in any goal that you're trying to set. So don't get caught, looking, trying to find something. Spend some time seeing the big picture. Spend some time seeing what you already have. You don't want to keep filling your cup when it's already full, because you already have what you need. Just use what you have. Put that into action. Do something with what you have. That way, guess what? You'll make room for something else. You'll make room for the next goal. You'll make room for the next level. And you never know. You may be able to fill your cup with something you never thought you would want in your cup at all. So just remember that. Don't get caught up in looking, when you already have what you need. I want to take this time to thank you guys for tuning into the show. We had a great time, as we always do. Feel free to stream and look at the previous episodes if you missed anything. BizLinks.tv is the network. YouTube is always available. Always feel free to also reach out to me, Facebook.com/Williams Inc., Christopher at OneWilliamsEnterprises.com, and OneWilliamsEnterprises.com is the website where you can always find me as well. And don't forget the Instagram page, Williams_Enterprises, as I'm always available there. If you have anything that you just want to hear talked about on the show, hey, we're doing the viewer's choice. Let me know, and you may find it right here, and you may be able to let your friends know, he talked about what I told him to talk about. That's cool. But if nothing else, hey, stay inspired.